What is precious is never to forget.
Is Frajda Jaffe, or in another life I was known as Frajda Gelcman, born in Piotrków, Poland, which is central Poland, very near Lodz, and that was my beginning in Piotrków. But then my parents and I, and later on a baby brother, lived in a small city called Lututow, also in Poland. Yes, that's been very, very highly documented. October, I think it was from the 14th, it was a 7-day period where the trains departed from the Piotrków, from the city of Piotrków, from the town square. The citizens were rounded up every single day for that entire week, and the cattle cars were filled every single day. I didn't know that then, but as the names were called out on a daily basis, when the quota was filled and the cars were filled, they departed, and then the next day the same story. And that final destination for the people there was Treblinka, and it was a one-way trip. My mother and my baby brother were one of those days. My grandparents, my aunts, just almost the entire family. The only ones that did not go on those transports during that week was one of my mother's sisters and a brother, and me.
And Frajda, how did you escape the trains?
Well, I don't know how I escaped it. Things happen. I was Frajda. And when we apparently had to stand at attention or stand in that square for hours and hours on a daily basis, there wasn't any way that Frajda was just going to do that. And so, being close to the ground, I just wandered around. I wove my way. I remember weaving my way through legs, looking for things to play with. There were probably some mice or some rats or some animals that I befriended that I just had to take care of. After all, they needed me. And it wasn't until I heard Frajda Gelcman. I heard it being called out. What? That's Mama. And so wherever I was with this multitude of people in this town square, working my way again through their feet to run, to be, if my mother her name was called, I needed to be there. She was holding my baby brother. Rabbi, and I remember as I was trying to push through the crowd, through the feet, I was grabbed. And someone put a hand over my mouth and just shoved me to the ground. I wasn't very high off the ground. It was my Aunt Gucha, my mother's sister. And she kept me down. And then I stayed with her until she was sent off to a labor camp. And then I was with my Uncle Bernard, my mother's brother, who was also doing slave labor in the ghetto in Piotrków, until he was transported And then I was passed on to whatever distant relative by marriage still happened to be in the ghetto until the final liquidation toward the end of 1944. But to go back to my mother, I recently wrote an essay, a paper, and I was trying to describe strength and courage. And I was really trying to think, how do you describe a mother who is walking purposely, she has no choice, toward the trains, toward the cars, and hears her child calling, and has the strength, has the courage, has the fortitude to not turn around, to not acknowledge her child, knowing that if she did, that child would be joining her on whatever journey. She did not know where her journey was leading, but she did know that she didn't want me there. And when I think about that, it just, who can do that? Who? That's